Hello there and welcome. My name is Martin Close, and this is the Classical Art Academy online art school. Evening everybody, and welcome to tonight's stream. Now, last week we did a couple of sketches. Sorry, my throat. Let's get some water. There. It's a good start. Lose my voice from the first second. We did these couple of streams. Sorry, test paintings. Get it right in a minute. Where you can see, I think this one was done first and then this one second, to try to get a balance and a feel for the painting. Now this one we're not going to use, so I'm going to put that down. But here, we're going to adjust this painting, which is 4 foot by, I think, 70 inches. Sorry, 770 centimeters, so, or 70 centimeters. So, what's that in old money? About 28, 29 inches high. So this is basically a beginning of a painting which I started quite a few years ago. And I just wasn't happy with the way this bottom section was going. So this is more to the tune or the thought which I would want it to be. And that's what we're going to be doing this evening, is developing. I'm going to redevelop this section. Now, if you've got a painting at home which is like this, years old, didn't go as well as you'd hoped, or maybe you just changed your mind over it, or you'd like to just redevelop it, then this is going to be one way of doing it. A few test paintings, get a feel and a design and a structure for the painting you want, without it being a massive job. I mean, this we did in, I think, a total from scratch in a 2-hour stream. And so if it's fairly simple, you can quite easily do maybe one of those in an hour. It really isn't a big call. Whereas to do something like this and then reach the point where I need to change it, it could take a whole week. So it makes a lot of sense to do these little paintings first. So what I want to do is I want to develop the sea area. This I want to change, and I want a reflection of the blue, which is up here in the bottom section as well. So changing it completely. Now, if we look at the palette, here we go, let's have a look at the palette. I've got colors already mixed up. We have, from the tube, titanium white, cadmium yellow deep, cadmium orange, cadmium red light, and cyan blue. That's it. And all of these colors you see in the stream have been mixed with just those 5 colors in mind. So we're fairly high chroma, and we're going to keep the chroma as high as possible, I think, for this first stage of alteration. All I've done in preparation to this is just wipe the canvas down with a solvent, and not soak it, but just literally give it a wipe to get rid of the grease, the muck, the grime, which has endeared itself to the canvas over being just thrown in the side for quite a few years. So let's now work on this area and see where we go. I'm going to start by defining the light areas, and I'm not going to use white for that, but I am going to use light. So let's see what we do. I've got oil. Here we go. Let's put this on. That's linseed oil as a medium, and I don't want to put a lot on. I just want to make it so the paint flows easily. Now let's start by brush upside down, literally pointing upwards. And this, I think, works. It's on the horizon, but I feel the horizon come up slightly. I think if it did, it would only be a small amount. So if we look at the halfway point on this picture, which is around about here, I'm just going to put a mark on that. And we look at the quarter section, so that's half, a quarter section's around here, a quarter harmonic. I think this is where this little wave is going to be here. So we can, it's going to be slightly lower, but only slightly, so we can put that in as a guide. Here we go. And this will be layered in several different layers. So we're not going to be worrying too much about what is underneath. Some of it might show through, even though we're using opaque paint, because I'm not going to put it on too thick. So let's just put this in and map this out. It comes across. And now we want to get the right depth. So I don't want to go too deep with this, but I think that might be slightly deeper than I anticipated, but let's see what it looks like. You can see on the canvas, sorry, from the photograph, and on here, it looks like it's white. But if I was to put white against it, you see it really wasn't. Now, I'm going to raise this up slightly, bringing it down. So there's a little bit of energy in this wave. I don't want it dead flat. So we'll raise it, I think. It begins to raise about here. So let's just soften that line a little bit. Okay. Now, let's push this across now. For those of you who know me, seascapes is a bit of a passion. Love the paintings of David James and William Tross Richardson. If you Google those two, you'll see what I mean. The beauty of those two artists were they existed before the photograph did and camera. So they couldn't actually take a photograph of the sea. They actually had to be there and observe it. Yep. So I'm going to start to bring this down, I think. And I can get rid of these, reshape this on the top in a second. It's very easy to do. Bring that across. Okay. Please do feel free to text or message on there. I'm monitoring it as we go. It's nice to answer some of your questions as I do this. Let's bring this over. This painting I want to be part of an exhibition, so it's going to be quite important to get it right. In actual fact, I think my wife is very interested in this as well, so Rachel, so we need to do a fairly good job on it, he says. It'd be nice to see what happens anyway. So it's destined for either a show or to hang on our wall in the lounge dining area. So I'm really just mapping through on this initially. A little bit of dip again. I don't want to go too much into the dip because it's oil and that's going to take a while to dry. So I don't want to spend days and days and days just waiting to put another layer on this. So I don't want to go too oily. Let's just bring that across. This is really just a light mass I want to put in initially. Right. Now let's move into this zone. I think that's probably a bit high. I could easily take a cloth to that. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, I think I will. I can either put a different colour on it, or I could just wipe it a little bit, or a combination, so not a problem. That's it. Let's put that down. And I'm going to break into this as it comes down. The energy of that wave is there. Over here, it's going to begin to fall off as well. It spans down. This is just me mapping out where I want this to go. I kind of feel this area we could go slightly lower. Don't want it all to be the same level. And we're looking at the wave coming straight on, so I don't want to be putting a big curve in here, but so in other words, we look at the tunnel of the wave. I don't really want that to happen. But this section is just a part of the wave which has broken, you could say, and separated from this. It's just curving around. I might even do a bit, I don't want to go too twee, but I might do a little bit on here as well, because I kind of like those sections. Let's bring this down a little bit. So easy to put, make it too symmetrical. I don't really want that. Right, let's push this a little bit further down and maybe along here. Come back and stop. Yeah, I think that works. Good. Now, I'm going to switch to a different color because I don't want to go all light and then have to go massively dark. So I'm going to switch to, this is pretty much pure cadmium yellow deep with a little bit of white added. Not a lot. And I'm going to use that color. Actually, I'm going to go slightly deeper. And I'm going to use that to take this wave over here. So it ends up being the tip of a crest, which is just rising up. And hey, love from Portugal. Wow, well done. Thank you. It's a sunny Bournemouth. Sometimes. Just been experiencing Portuguese wine recently from it's my father-in-law's idea. Have a taste of this, he said, and I must be honest, it's like, oh wow, it's opened my eyes up to Portuguese wine. There you go. And I can just bring that across. You can see it's just, and as we go further, I'm going to actually change a brush, the same reason as I did before. I don't want the colours contaminating in. And I'm using a Rosemary & Co. square-edged chisel brush. It's a long flat, or an extra long flat. That's better. I want to kind of bleed this away, so it's just a wave which is beginning to rise at this stage, which means, of course, there'll be something behind it which we can paint. Yeah, so it just begins to fall off. Maybe that's a little bit too much. So let's have a quick look. We don't want to make the floor wet like the sea's coming through the edge of the camera. Yeah, we can raise that up a bit. So let's do that. Hope you can all hear me all right. There we go. So sorry, just having a quick look at the screen. Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. I think it's one of the beauties of being on stream or live on YouTube is I can reach people in Africa, India, South and North America, and all over Europe. Whereas obviously, if you come into a live class, it's it's difficult to do that, and it's a great privilege to know that these streams are being watched in literally all over the world. So that I kind of feel is one area I could darken this down, but I'm more interested in actual fact than rather than doing that. I'm more interested in going into the next light. So we're going to put that down. I'm going to come back into a light brush. So the first one we had, again, a little bit of medium. And let's just see about putting this in. I'm mindful, you can see this, we need to make some room for the sea area that's underneath. I'll say sea area, the beach area, which is reflective. But let's see how we go. Does that look? Sometimes if we're very low down, then things need to be higher up. So if I was taller, it would demonstrate like this. So if I was tall, then I would look down on the beach. But if I was lower down, then of course this effect happens. So I would see a wave here and a wave here as being pretty much not separated, not on different levels, but on very similar levels. So if I go too low with this, then I'm making myself too tall. Does that make any sense to you? Maybe I should explain it a bit better, but I'm going to raise this up slightly. So I'm only interested in the gap between those two pieces. I'm going to put this in quickly and gingerly. I just don't want to, again, it needs to be sort of a similar level. Just downward stroke, just put that in. Yeah, I think that works. And this needs to go all the way across. I kind of feel it needs to, let's just push that over. Here we go. Doesn't need to be anything too special for the time being. I just want to keep it reasonably level, so it's got to go higher here. Okay. I'll just use the force, as they're saying, just get that across. So if it's there, let's do some little guides. It's about here. It's about there. Coming over. I was going to make sure I was wearing a glove today. I'll tell you guys a funny story. And I've clearly forgotten to wear the glove. I play the guitar. Many people do, but I was at a gig the weekend, and prior to that, last week, I was also doing some gardening. One thing you should never do if you care for your nails is do a lot of gardening the week before doing a gig. So I ended up breaking the nails on my right hand. These little four beauties here. So Saturday morning, was it Saturday morning? Saturday afternoon, actually, I think. I took myself off to the nail bar. And I really am wishing I actually wore a glove now and wouldn't have to go through this story. But anyway, I was reasonably clear. I just said, what I'd like is 4 blank nails, please. Just ordinary blank nails. But they misunderstood or misheard. And so I've got 4 black nails instead, which is kind of amusing. But the gig went ahead okay, so it was great. I spent about 45 minutes on being a warm-up section to It's actually my daughter who's playing, and it was a really lovely evening. But I just wish that I'd have remembered my glove, which I could have avoided all of that. So there you go. Funny story. That's going to go worldwide, I'm sure. Always remember to put your glove on. All I'm doing here is I've got my finger like this. Can you see that? I'm put it underneath the canvas, and I'm just running it across the bottom edge of the canvas. It doesn't need to be perfectly flat, this, but what it doesn't need to do, it doesn't need to fall off the edge of the canvas, which it is a little bit around here. So as a guide, I'm just going to raise that up a little. In other words, it needs to be reasonably level and not like that. So with that in mind, a little bit more medium, help it flow. Having got that rough, I just now want to put this, make it a little bit thicker. This is this wave has come in, it's crashed, and these waves here are rolling up the beach or along the flat water, the shallow water. So and what's literally happening, if that's the, let's get this right on there. If that's the angle of the sand underneath the water that's coming in isn't coming in just like this. It's hitting the sand. The sand is causing friction. So the top wave is traveling faster than the bottom of the wave. And you get this rolling effect. And of course, when a wave crashes and the energy still comes up, this rolling wave carries on up the beach. And this is what we see here. So I just want to push this in flat. The big detail on it, the shapes I'll put in later. I'm not really that bothered about it just yet. And never ever put this in white. And possibly even maybe should have put it in slightly darker, because a mix of this isn't just, it's not white water, it's light water. It's foam, but it's also got a lot of sand and other bits and pieces in it. So, and the bottom of it will be in shadow. So let's just put that across as a band. Here we go. Can you see how this changes the whole feel of this painting now? It's going to be kind of, oh, hello. That's something of a bit of interest. And it's so easy to do if you follow these steps. And the beauties of, obviously, a video is that you can rewind it again and again and again and just enjoy it. Just go through, practice. Whatever you do, don't make your paintings precious. It's an exercise, and that's all it needs to be. Proportionally, this wave is further back than this. So obviously, if you look at them in the same distance, this is going to be much higher, much bigger. But because of the distance, it appears to be smaller than the truth. So although this is nowhere near as big as the wave behind it, it's closer to us. Because it's closer to us, it's going to not be too dissimilar in some areas. It's probably a little bit thick. I can cut that down from both top and bottom, but for the now, I'm not really that bothered or worried. So I just want to push this in. Kind of, this is the changing or the mapping out of the painting stage, not the finished product. Yeah, still keep that going in. using a vertical stroke here because it automatically gives me an uneven surface, an uneven top, which I kind of like and need. Now the cloud above, I kind of, I've got to decide whether the sun's coming from over here or over here. I kind of feel it needs to come from over here, which means any shadows on these will be on the opposite side. I need that consistency for it to look believable. A little bit more of the fluid. Now let's just put this final bit in. Maybe I should use a bigger brush or a smaller canvas, but never mind. So what it looks like from afar. Yep, that's kind of cool. Okay, that's good. Now, next, we have some foaming water, or light water, I should say, which I just want to map out the first before I put any other colors on. So again, I'm going to do that with this color. Going to decide where the blue starts, and maybe it should start here. Let's just have that as a guide for a second and step back and look. Yeah, okay. So if that was, it's come across. That's right, that kind of possibly goes a little bit too low, but never mind. I'm going to use this light and cross that. Okay, just seeing in my eye, this to me looks like it's a little bit too big of an angle, so I'm going to bring that down slightly. Bring it over. I think this another few minutes of doing this and it'll be revealed as to what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, hopefully. And I need something coming about here, but I think it might be a bit high, so I'm going, I don't know though. Rolling the brush to get the paint on. Does it look like on the screen? Yeah, it looks about right. That's kind of cool. Okay. So let's move in here. It's kind of, according to this chat server, I kind of like the little thumbnail sketch we did from last week's stream. Yeah, okay. Notice I'm being a little bit loose. I'm not going too heavy on the paint. Let's just bring that across now. Bring that over. Okay, so there'll be something else going in here, so maybe we just have a little bit of light onto that, just to map out where this is. Don't get too hung up on this part because it's really just rough mapping. Now we've got the sun here. Okay, so let's remind ourselves where that is and put a few highlight dobs in there too. Yeah, so let's move this slightly out the way. Sorry about that. I want it falling off. I might put some putty rubber. Is great for making things stick to your easel There we go, it's putty rubber. I'll just put this on the back of that and then just make sure that's stuck in there. There we go, that won't fall now. Tip of the day. Right. So, where are we? Yeah, do a bit more here, a bit more there. Getting a bit of fluid onto this. Again, I'm mindful of going too runny, because that won't be nice. I want to continue this over. This doesn't work. I need to bring this up. I'll lose the bottom of that in a second, and that'll be quite straightforward to do. Okay. And lastly, I think over here, I don't want to go too many of these, but I do need it to flow. So maybe it comes from here. Let's have a quick look. That's that, that's that. So this can travel down this way. Yeah. Okay. Almost there with this, and we'll start filling in some of the blanks. Where are we here? I want this scooting over, so kind of comes over, goes into this zone here, kind of works into that area and then out the picture. Yeah, that's cool, like that. Sometimes you get a brush mark and it really works. Might be a bit too complicated, that one, but never mind. Okay, switching brushes now to a darker, in actual fact, a wholly different brush. I'm going to go to a filbert. Filbert is a bit shaped like a cat's tongue. This is a long filbert, number 4 from Rosemary & Co. and Ivory. All the links to Rosemary & Co. brushes, by the way, in the description, along with a recommended brush list for everyone to enjoy. Starter kit, anyway. So I'm going to put this blue in. So we've got light here, which means a bit of dark over there, a bit of dark over here. So I'm going to, again, a little bit of oil, starting in the light. And now blue, obviously, and yellow will make a green, so we don't want to be mindful of that as we put this in. Is that too rich a blue? Does that work? I'm going to put a little bit more light into that, I think, that initial one. Let's just see. You can see on the palette, I'm going to take some titanium white and just drop it in there. Let's just mix that in. When you're doing this, don't go too heavy on your palette knife. I normally expect a palette knife to last maybe a year if I'm lucky. But when they break, they never ever break with no paint on. So the weld snaps and that's it, you'll get covered in paint. Okay. Let's take that off the palette knife. Don't want to waste anything. Yeah, I think that's better. Actually, let's just move this out of the way a second. I'll stick it over here. So I'm just going to pop this in. I'm almost using this like a decorator's brush now, so I'm only doing that just to get it coloured. Yeah, does that work? Let's have a quick look overall. Okay, I don't want to go too bright with it. Might regret the brightness. Never mind. Lightness, I should say, not brightness. Bright we tend to associate with, like a chroma, like a bright red is a high chroma red, but bright and light, the English language being what it is, tends to mean different things to different people. So I'm looking at it being light, but I don't want it too light. It's I might have to darken it down now. It's interesting, isn't it? You change your mind. I'm going to put a little bit of this colour in here. I'm going to keep that light stripe if I can, although I probably lost a little bit of it. Well, I did there. If you do something like that and you think, oh, what? Don't get cross. Yeah, it's okay. No big deal. So I'll put a bit of light to the other side. Down here. Again, just coming across. And most of that will be lost by a frame. If you were to frame the painting. And some of this is going to have some oranges on it. Of course, orange and blue, they're not exactly the friendliest two colours on the palette to mix together. They tend to disagree with the mixing. In other words, they neutralise themselves out. Complementary colour of blue is orange. And so if you get a dark blue and a dark orange, you'll get a black. If you get a light orange and a light blue, you'll get a grey. So they will neutralise themselves out. So be mindful of this area as to how we do that. But careful, I think, as well. But these are low chroma colours in this particular area. They're not high chroma blues. So we should be okay when we mix the two together. Fingers crossed. Yep, okay. The so-called jury is out on this one currently, but we'll see. I can always make it go darker on the second layer. So I'm never too worried. I see a lot of students at this stage freeze almost, like, oh, is it the right colour? Or like you can't put the wrong colour on a painting. I do it all the time. Just don't worry. The right colour will come. Maybe you need to go through the wrong colour a few times to get to it. Oh, sorry about the coughing. Let's have some water, keep my throat going. Right. So in here, underneath. Yeah, and see if we can try and keep that light ridge. I can see it. You might not see it on the through the camera. I kind of feel this is all going to be oranges from here on. I just want to have an intro of blue. I'm going to put some of this a little bit further out, but I will bring the darker blue in, I think, on this one now. Maybe just on that section. Yeah. So if I was not just mapping out, then I would not use this paint like a decorator brush stroke. But because I'm Just want to cover this area quickly and efficient. I don't want to put a lot of paint on it, so I'm kind of smoothing the paint out. And raise this bottom up slightly on that section. Now, I think we are going to go to a bit darker, maybe just a little bit more blue, lighter blue in this area around here. Most of it, well, pretty much all of that will be lost by the frame. But I'm going to come to frame this. Well, this is a 40mm thick canvas, so sometimes people don't put frames on them. All right, now we're going to go for darker colour. So let's see about this colour going in. I'm going to use the same brush because they are related colours. And having got this in, I probably won't go back into it. I'll put a few patches of light and dark in. I don't want to block it in. Well, I do want to block it in, but I don't want to block it in all one colour. It's not a paint by numbers. And hopefully you can see a darker value coming in now. Just there, let's just have a little bit more oil into this. I'm just using linseed oil, nothing too special at this stage, just for mapping it down. I did think of using a quick drying medium, but I thought, nah, just oil is simple. Predictable, you know what it's going to do. Right. That's, yeah, good. Carrying on, as they say. Going a bit of dark onto this side. Didn't mean to do that bottom bit, but never mind. So actually I should be able to just curl the brush into that. Try and keep the edge-ish. Horizontal strokes because water is kind of flat normally. For this, and this is really just the still reflection from the wet sand, which the water's made. So it's just catching that sky. That's what hopefully what we'll be looking at. I'm enjoying this. I think it's changed the painting dramatically, hasn't it? It's really shifted the whole concept of this painting, which is really what I wanted. And there's a reason why I did these miniatures, these little oil sketches first, because I wasn't sure of what we needed to do here. I knew we needed to do something. I genuinely wasn't 100% sure of what it was. It wasn't clear. Whereas these, yeah, don't cost hardly anything, and in time, in effort, in they're only little canvas boards. And I think I've made this one myself. I don't think it's even a canvas board. It's just a plywood panel which I've just cut up into lots of tiny sections and then gessoed. Yep. Okie doke. Let's just carry on doing this. I think the time of day on this is probably evening, I feel. Maybe I'm saying it because I want the sun over here to the right. And of course, we live on the south coast, so that's south, which means if that's south, that is west. and the sun sets in the west, so it's certainly not going to be a morning painting. It's an evening painting. Knowing the anatomy of a person's face is essential if you're going to be doing a portrait. Same for figurative work. It's no good putting a muscle where one doesn't exist, and when you're doing something like this, a seascape, and with clouds and stuff, an anatomy of knowledge of what a cloud does, what it looks like, and everything that's going on in the sea is very useful. Could even call it essential knowledge. If you're making something up, then definitely. If you're copying something for a photograph, and obviously Mother Nature has a way of doing it all for you if you're working from a photo. Yeah, okay, that's kind of ish what I had hoped for, I think. Let's just bring this over. I want this to be blue, but then we're going to switch it to an orange. Can't wait for that one. We'll take that out with blue over here. Okay, so I'm just stepping back and seeing it's beginning to actually. Can you see from where you are that it's beginning to get a bit of depth to it already? That's kind of nice. If we're getting that from this stage already, then and I'm pleased about that. Right, let's switch. I'm going to go to a different colour, but not that one. Let's have another look. Yeah. So this is a extra long flat from Rosemary & Co. Again, a number 4. You can see it's quite a long brush, but it's got like a chisel. It's chisel edged, and it's ideal for doing straight lines and marks. So let's have a look. I'm going to go to experiment with this and just try this color out. Maybe it will, maybe it won't work. Where are we over here? Because this could be too light a colour. Check it out first. It's a big shift. Let me just go down one. I'm going to use the same brush because I'm naughty like that. Let's come beside it, see what happens in this area. See which colour I prefer. I think I prefer this one. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely prefer that one. So I'll just take this down a notch. Let's do something with that in a second. Now, like I said, some of this is going to be into the blue. Exciting stuff. It crosses over. None of you have ever mixed blue and orange together. Do so. It's very interesting. Same as purple and yellow. Purple is obviously quite a dark colour, and you think, oh, I'll add yellow to it, so you think you're going to get a lighter colour. Actually, it goes black, as if by some magic. Now, I'm being reasonably careful along here because those lines I put on initially, I want to keep some of them. And I'm just going to get this one re-established. Bring that over. Yep. And so that would be the lighter side. If the sun's over there, let's just take that orange out a sec. If the sun's over that way, then there'd be a little highlight going in here. And a little dark the other side as it comes off. Now I'm going to just put this colour into the blue, just to get a bit more definition on that edge. And I'm just going to lose it. Initially just bringing that brush, without turning it over, down into the blue. So just take that away, like that. And the blue brush, which is here, I can just tidy that up. That's the sort of effect I was hoping for, which we'll elaborate as we go. Okay, some more of this. I'll put this light brush down. I don't need that just yet. Some more of this dark. And here, see this cloud, under this belly of this cloud is going to have some effect. I need to be mindful of putting that in. Is that too dark? Let's have a quick look and see from that. That is a bit dark for there. So we'll just continue that across, that across. Bring that line in. These are the lines of foam which has just run up the beach. Now, let's go and keep it dark. I'm going to come across in a band, I think. We will put some vertical light and darks in a minute. But I just want to run this across. It's important for me to get these initial shapes in. Okay. Again, touching on this light, coming up and across. It's where those two areas meet. It's like two waves kind of coming together. Let's do it that way. That way or that way? Well, one way. And they, as they come up, they meet. And so you get a overspillage of both. The energy doesn't just stop with one. Have a look on, next time you go to the sea, if you get a chance or look some photographs, you'll see what I mean. Yeah, that's the sort of thing which will happen. Coming up. Oh, hello. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, I don't know. Kind of works. Good to go. They call that a happy accident. Right. In there. I'm going to, oops, that's a bit too much paint. Just take this line and just re-establish that. Okay. I have to wait till the paint's gone a bit, I think, to do that. I don't know, let's have another go, see. Yeah, it kind of works. If I stop talking when I'm painting, it means I'm focusing. Can't use both sides of the brain simultaneously. I'd fall over. Where's that blue? This needs to be reasonably thin. We're going to be, when it comes to working on this area, what I'm doing now, we'll be putting shadows underneath and all sorts of things. But right now, that's all that we need to show. Let's put the light down, get back into this colour red. How are we doing for time? It's a good peep. Good. Excellent. So, yeah, I'm going to just put this in now. Okay, so we've got a bit of yellows going in there. Let's take that as cadmium yellow and a tad of light into it. Now again, obviously yellows and blues, not a happy colour to mix together if you're doing a seascape. Need to be a little bit mindful of what we do with that one. Does that work? Just needs to go a bit darker, so I'm switching to the darker brush. Let's push this in. Try and keep your brushes separate, dark, medium, light. Try not to get them confused. Okay, now the second reason I like that is it's not yellow, it's an orange. It might have some yellow in it, but it's predominantly orange. And that's going to have a lot less effect on this blue, which we're going to be joining up in a second. See if I can get that orangey effect going over. Yes, I'm okay with this colour in this corner, but I don't want dark colours around here just yet. So now, it's making sure, get a bit of this, mix these two colours together. I want to make sure I keep it red as opposed to yellow, orange. Otherwise we will get a green. Which I don't really want in a sunset of a sea. Burnt orange, yes. Nicked into that light line then, which is a shame. Okay, now I'm going to push some blue into that. Darker blue. I want there to be a gradiated, or very grated, I should say, colour one into the other. Good. Early stages, but nonetheless, it's nice to get a beginning of a feel for this already. Let's work some on the other side in a second. I'm going to put a little bit of this colour, because this won't be dead flat. There'll be little patches of orange skimming across of it. and there'll be patches of obviously blue into that. I'm just going to go lighter blue into this one. Now this, I don't want to be accused of going into detail, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time onto this. It's just, I suppose, curiosity's sake for me. I just want to see what it looks like with a bit of orange patchwork in there. And I think it kind of works. Right, let's have a joining up of these two again here. Now I know, oopsie, there you go. See, talking and painting, don't ever do that. Oh, it's not such a disaster, it's okay. Let's do a bit of colour between these two. I think it needs to go quite dark in this area. And running that across, I'll try to get a smooth top to that if I can. It's yeah. Now using that same colour, I just want to get underneath this, thinning that edge out. With a little line of a dark, well, a darker orange. Just skimmed that, I think, of that last stroke. That's it. Right. We're kind of okay. We're winning the battle on that side. Question is, do I go darker in that zone here first, or do I keep it that colour? I think that's my answer. I've got to go darker. Okay, so put that brush down. We're going to pick another brush. That one's good. Actually, I got one here. Didn't see it. So we're going to go into this darker colour. This has got more cadmium red into it. Wishing across there, step back. Yep, that's good. Good to go. I almost feel part of this needs to be that colour as well, which is the sky. I can put that in as a reference point. See what it looks like. Yeah, I kind of like that. That's cool. Okay, keep that there. Now, back into this colour. Trying hard not to go too oily. Bring that over just up there. Okay, now I'm just going to experiment with something a minute, which is just making sure I get this area in place. I'm going to put this colour in across on this one. We'll whiz back into this area in a second. Getting this colour in as we get into here. Okay, I just want to tickle that area in a little bit because we've got a nice edge this end, but I just want to push that edge up slightly. Ever so slightly. Right, done that. Bringing this colour down, I want to keep the foam edge or the foam visible. I don't want to paint over it. I mean, everything you see here will be painted over eventually. This is first layer, but I want to map that true. Yeah, okay. Kind of getting there. Now, a little bit of colour in here. And this, have a quick look. I'm going to go lighter. Oops, a daisy. Just got to swipe that off. Just got a bit of orange on the end of the brush. I'm going to go lighter into this. Just where did I see it? Two areas. Firstly here. And secondly, along this edge at the top of this foam line. Trying to get that reasonably thin. Good. I'm going to just go slightly into this one as well. Right, just on here. Oh no, not that one. This one. Won't bother blending it again here as well. Just a little bit lighter. Oops. Remember that foam line? See if we can keep it, shall we? Just tickling the two colours so that we lose that edge on them. Hey, don't go into that foam. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. We get there. This just soften that top edge. Now, put that one down, go to a yellow. I'm going to bleed these two into each other. So, in other words, connect the stream up. And we'll mix these two colours. I just want to put, this might work, it might not, but I think it will. I want to build a little bit of light water just here. Does that work? Yeah, I think it will. If it doesn't, no worries, no panics. Yeah, it's not the end of the world as we know it. So what I want to do is just bring that up a little bit. I want to create a feeling of calm water before this comes up. And I'm going to just now mix in another colour, this lighter yellow. I'm only doing this because there's no blues in this area. I'll pop it in and you can see what I'm trying to do. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, say no more. Yeah, it kind of pushes it back. It's like a bit of flat water which picks up something which will be up here maybe. Okay, let's push that around. Come on. Just push this down a little. I want to have a Maybe that's a little bit too light for that area, I don't know, but we'll see. Like it's like it's beginning to take shape anyway. That's kind of nice. So we're getting somewhere. It's an improvement on what was there. So moving in the right direction. I'm going to just bring back into this section. I'm prideful we haven't done a great deal over there, but I want to show you what I'm trying to achieve here. And the orange, I'm just going to pop a little bit into this. Let's get that smooth if I can. Yep. Yep. Okay, now that's not sand, that's the reflection of something up there. Now, I want to put, say, a darker red in now. So let's put that brush down and this brush down. Actually, was that the red? Could have just variegated that in or not? Nope. In fact, that tells me I need to just take this up a bit more. All right, let's commit to it. Let's go for that. Painting's really exciting stuff, isn't it? I mean, gosh, what more could you... Can't have any more fun than this on a Tuesday evening. I can just lead with my chin sometimes, but never mind. I've got echoes in my head now saying, of course we can be somewhere much more interesting. Walking along a beach like this, for example. Okay, so we're there. Now I need to get a dark red in. This might not be dark enough. We'll see. Might do for the now. So I'm popping this colour in, and it's the shadow underneath this foamed water. Okay. It's quite red. The reason I put that light yellow in just underneath it is so it stood up. Now, let's just take that over a little bit. It's a bit thicker than I'd hoped, but no worries. I don't do worry often. Okay, I'll push this over so you get a better idea as to what it will look like as a whole, and also then come and do this section, and then hopefully you'll see the effect that I'm after. We're about 6 o'clock, so we're about halfway through the stream, but just in case, I don't want to not do this section, just in case we get to a point and then we have to end the stream. So I think it's going to make a amazing painting, this actually. Now getting into it. Yellow, where are you? There you are. Right, I'm going to take this yellow. Oops, that's a paper roll on the deck. I'm going to edge it first, rolling the brush so paint gets delivered to the spot I need. And I'm going to push the edge up into the red. Now, I might not be able to do this on the first run, red being what it is, a really powerful colour. I don't want a lot of contamination between the two. Keeping the top edge of the red as red as I can, or intact I should say. Let's get that bit of paint off. A bit more. Load up again. It's naturally going to be a bit of contamination, obviously, but we don't want too much. Comes over. Turn the brush thing, because I've got contaminant on this side, but I haven't got nothing on the other side except fresh paint. Reapplying and again forcing, oh hello, that's a bit high, forcing that across. I didn't want to contaminate too much, and I am a little bit, which is a pain. But no worries, that's why we have multi-layers. One reason. It's very easy to over paint with colour at this point. In other words, you put too much pigment on and it starts to slop around the place. We don't want that. Yep. Now there'd be a darker line going in, but we'll do that very carefully in a sec. Or a bit later on, maybe. See how we go. Oops. I'm going to keep this quite high in chroma. That's why I'm not using a soft brush to blend with. I want to blend with colour. So, in other words, I'm using a brush with 2 or 3 different colours of paint on to form the blend, not a dry brush to just merge 2 colours into each other. You do that and you lose a lot of chroma from the colour. Okay. Now, this, take a little bit of paint off of that brush and just really carefully Yep, okay, so what's that look like from afar? I think we're getting there. Again, this will be broken up. It's not going to be a block of colour going in. It will be blocked up. Blocked up? Messed up. Complicated. That's a good word. So, here we have this bubbling foam. Now just behind it, we're going to have a strong red, and I'm thinking this red here. This water is rising up, so it's a crest of a wave. It comes up, and when there's a crest, lots of nice things happen. Now let's just have a quick look at the top of the wave. Basically gets darker. The trough of the wave, which is the bottom part, will take the reflection of the sky. Okay, so I think this is the right colour to use in here. I'm going to kind of mess up the edge, top edge a little bit, Although I don't want it to be flat. You can see I'm just wiggling the brush as I do. I'm trying not to paint too neatly. In other words, it needs to be a bit messy. Not a straight line, in other words. Let's put it that way. Yep, that works. If it works, it's good. Keep it. Right, I'm going to bring this colour across. Not too much paint now, do remember that. Too much paint is going to be not good. Causes other problems. Again, wiggling the brush a bit so I'm not straight. Try not to bleed too much of the light colour up, because this is going to go darker. I want higher chroma than the colour you see here already, but it does need to go darker. Or as dark as this, maybe slightly lighter, maybe. One of the alterations I did to the small painting from last week's stream is that this wave here, this was blue, and of course it wouldn't be blue because there's no reflection. I don't know, painted it blue and looked at it afterwards and thought, no, it's not going to be blue. It's going to be the colour of the ambient light, which is orange or red or yellow or yellowy orangey red. One of the three. But certainly wouldn't be blue. There we go. Is it my imagination or is that going uphill? Maybe we could allow it to go slightly uphill. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, it is. Okay. Let's not allow it to go too far because I'm going to lose this area above it if I do. So there we go. I'm cutting into that. You can see how much I cut into that area. Losing the contaminant and just taking that up with the red. Let's have a quick look at that from afar to see if that works. Yeah, I think it does. Okay, so I just need to be mindful of that one. I'm going to continue across with this, cutting in, going down. I've probably gone too low on that one, actually. In fact, never mind. Oh, I don't know. We'll see. This stage, I'm really not that bothered. Going to do the best I can to get this mapped the way I want, but with the full knowledge that I'm going to do another 2 layers, probably at least, on this, which is ample time to go and dob a bit of light on there if I need to. Okay, so this stays with us as being quite dark because it's a shadow. The shadow caused by this wave coming up. So whereas this would receive some reflection, this would not. Reflection from the sun, in other words. Let's just go a little bit higher with this colour, which will enable me to do a little softening of any edge without having to go too near the foamy bit down here. Again, I'm painting a bit like a painter and decorator to get it covered, so I normally like to do lots of different strokes, but not today, possibly not. And that looks a little high. So I'm going to take this a little lower. Yeah, that's better. Didn't need to be that high. Gosh, I'm having a serious deja vu. Must have painted this in a past life. Right. Matrix reloaded, as I say. Let's push this across. Now, not uniformed, doesn't have to be, but I don't want to do too big a jump into the dark. Right, I'm going to stop it there and move into a darker brush. Here we go, this will do nicely. Actually, no, it won't. I want this one. I think, yeah. This is another large, extra long flat, number 4 from Rosemary & Co. The question is this dark enough? I don't think so. It's okay as an interim colour. All right, I'll go across. In other words, it's okay as a colour before the dark. So putting this across means I won't lose as much chroma in this red as I would do if this was really, really dark. Experiment with this. Get a light colour, get a dark colour, put them side by side and see if you can make a soft edge without losing massive amount of chroma. And you'll realise what I mean. It's always best. If you're going to go from light into dark, go medium, medium, dark, medium, light. So you've got dark, medium, light, medium, medium, light, light. And it'll assist you when you're doing your blends. Or softening an edge. Here we go. There's another way of looking at it. If those of you who do live near the school, we're in Bournemouth, it's in Southbourne, and we've got a series of 1- and 2-day workshops coming up in nature, at the sea, in the woods. So please do have a look on our website, classicalartacademy.uk, for full details. And of course, you can email from the website, and myself and Rachel will be able to guide you through and answer any questions you may have. Lots of fun, these little workshops. Now I'm going to shift to a smaller brush because this is getting delicate. Now here, this is where it switches because this is going to be translucent water. So in actual fact, what I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to put a bit of light through into that. How much light? That's a good question. Let's see about this. Just take these two colours and merge them together a bit. These yellows are mixed with cadmium yellow deep and titanium white, nothing else. Is that too light is the question I have. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, so we go down a notch. Going to, actually I'll just take that straight down, I think. Where have I got here? Getting my brushes confused. It's a sign of age. Right, going to take this down to a few stops. Photographic term. Few notches. And that's definitely, I think, a better colour for the translucent foam. A little bit round here, pushing up. this is going to, that's better. Let's just push that down. I don't think that's going to, oh yeah, it will, just over there. Just spotted another area which we'll benefit from, just here. Pushing, I don't want to destroy the light foam, so be mindful of that. Although it's just as a rough guide, telling me where it is. It's because we're going to make this darker and lighter as the painting develops. Yeah, that works. That's kind of doing what it should be doing. Okay, now we want to go slightly darker, so we do. But not terribly much darker. Let's just have a little notch here. And pushing up into that a little. Keeping it away. It's only a thin layer, this. It's a thin stripe, put it that way. Not layer. Thin area of paint, linking the two colours together. Keeping the chroma as high as we can. As high as we can do so. Looking at the level. Putting a bit of that orange up in here. On top of the yellow, which we actually popped in, automatically making a softer edge than if we hadn't done that. That's nice. It's coming together. So a little bit more orangey rouge coming into this. Bringing that down. Might have to go darker. Yeah, might have to go darker on that too. See about this. Now I'm actually still using a brush which has got quite a light on it. And I'm not too sure about sticking too much of this in this area. So I'm going to now put that brush down because I'm going to really shift into a darker area with this brush, which has already got some dark on it. Now let's see, is that too light or not? I prefer this in that area, so just taking that, I was thinking that's a little bit too. Let's have a quick look at it. Yeah, it's just a little bit too happy a colour. So I'm going to take this darker, but I'll put a little bit in it so it's got something to give a softer edge to on that darks. Right. Or does it need it here? Maybe not. Okay. Now we're going to go into the darker red. Gradiated, not a huge amount, or very grated I should say, because we're moving one colour to another really. Vertical strokes probably make this a little easier. Yep. Gives it a bit more control maybe. I think this needs to be really dark. That too. This, I've got a horrible feeling I made it too light, so I'm going to push a little bit of dark into that top. Here, similar. Now, this, I've got no photo reference on this C at all. It's straight out of the head. This was done last week, so this is my guide. But I paint so many seascapes, it's the anatomy of a sea. It's probably do one almost in my sleep, which is that's better. You kind of just got to go slowly and imagine yourself as the sea itself, I think. Yeah, that works. Now, I kind of want to go darker here, but this color will be possibly, you can see it along here, so it's the same color. Show you. See, exactly the same color. So this needs to now go along this bit. And we've made a transition from left to right. I'll check the time in a second. Like now. 36, gosh, half an hour left. Is that right? Yes. Must get a bigger clock for the for the screen. It's beginning to take though. It's nice. From a distance I can see its progress. Take this in there. But I want to increase the drama of that, like really increase it. So look at this, we got to go darker. Right, here's the dark. I'm going to use a small brush. That's what I've got in my hand. Hopefully this is dark enough. If not, then no worries. We'll make it go darker. No, I should be okay. Coming in, so just this line at this point is a kind of a guide. It'll be some lighter colours behind it, above this. So I don't need to have that visible, maybe. Don't think so. It's just, we'll leave it in there for the time being. Now, watch what happens. I gently just take the edge off of that. You begin to see the wave rolling up, and it'll become more prominent as we move over. So let's see what we are in here. I'm going to go and I'm doing the up and down, the unevenness here. I'm doing it deliberately. Not too dramatic, but just enough. Okay, into this. I'm going to be working on this painting during the course of the week. Now my studio is back together after doing the gardening. And, hopefully be able to show you some progress next week of what this begins to look like as a whole. Interesting to see these alterations, and all of a sudden, oh wow, you know, there's a painting. Should have taken a photo. Well, I can take a snapshot of this picture, obviously via the stream, so we can do a before and after shot. Yep, it's beginning to come. And everything here is changeable. It's not written in stone. It's painted in oil paint. So we can do things to it. It's not the end of the world if I need to change something. Well, clearly, because this is how this is still here. So we can really change things around. A quick peep. There's a couple of more messages coming in. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad the saws are tricky about the sound. Let's have a quick look. Yep, one mic is going low on batteries, so it should be okay. Should hang out for a bit longer. Yeah, I think this needs to go darker. Change it if it doesn't. Yeah, it just begins to get a bit more drama. You can see that's really throwing it forward, and that's what I would like to do. Just bring this, a bit more power into this. Good. Now, continue this dark color across into here. Being a little careful about putting it somewhere where I don't really want it to go. Into the light foam that's underneath. So that needs to just come up a bit darker. It's too much of a thin band of something there. Which probably means I need to shoot this up a little bit as well. So look at that from a distance. Yep, that's kind of cool. That's okay. Now, this is going to be darker, but I want to keep the chroma going on it. Steady with this bottom section. Come back to that in a second with the red, I think. Let's just get onto that now. Is that raised? Yeah, it is a bit high, so we can afford to give a little bit more here. Oops. Never like to have white or light near on a brush near a dark colour, because I don't want to get the contaminant in, like I've kind of done there, really. Perfectly teaching me for saying it and then having to do it. There we go. It's easy to correct, but it's nonetheless, it's extra work. Yeah. So this is effectively deep water, and we need that red going over. I was hoping to totally map this bottom section out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that before close of stream, but it'll this will appear as a tutorial video, because I think it's really working. You can see the this area now kind of forces you into the painting. Might be a little light, easy to take that and tone it down a bit. Very easy to do that. That's on a subsequent layer. So I'm just bringing this across now. Just make sure we go into that with a red. Got a bit of contamination on this lower section. Red, sorry, I've dark into the red, but never mind. It will. And the sea is gonna, it's never the same, so you don't worry about blocking in everything the same color. It's going to be different. It's millions and millions of colors, not just 6 or 7. Now here, I'm going to start putting a bit of dark in and just letting that bleed across. There it is, we want to keep it reasonably level. Because this is the water raising up. Yeah, that's, I was mindful of what I say. Talk rubbish sometimes, but so it's the water being rising up, and it's therefore not reflecting the sky anymore. It's deep water. Whereas the shallow, but the flat water, the trough, will reflect the sky. And that's why we've got an orange or a red here, because that's reflecting this. As you can see by this here, because that will, if I put this color in, a sec. So where are we? This color here will actually appear here, or near to that. And that will create it makes sense of it all. Notice I'm not really worried about leaving that there. I'm not worried at all. It's fine. I can put a bright riotous mark anywhere on this painting and it wouldn't worry me in the slightest if it's in the wrong place, because it's oils. I can correct it, change it, move it. Worst comes to it, just scrape it off. Never fear your painting. Just enjoy every second of it. If it doesn't work, well, it's not going to bite you. Just enjoy the process. So many people in art, and actually I don't think it's limited to art. This is an observation that personal to me, is that so many people in the world are racing to the destination, and they never seem to reach the destination, because when you get close, your destination changes. Whereas, what if you just relaxed and enjoyed the journey? Enjoyed every single stop on the journey. You know, don't worry if it's not the perfect painting. Enjoy the process of making the painting. Just relax and enjoy that journey which you are on. It doesn't have to be perfect. Perfection is an illusion. It just lines you up to fail. So don't try for perfection. Just enjoy it. Yeah. Accept the fact you're going to make mistakes. I mean, I use the analogy sometimes with my students that if you're going to become an airline pilot and you just completed 1 week of the course, would you go flying? Would you take control of an airline? Hopefully not. So don't worry, you're learning. You're learning how to paint. Doesn't matter if you take a bit longer. Just enjoy every single step, the process of doing the painting. Don't worry about the destination. You'll get there. Also, try not to get angry about anything. I mean, what's the point? You know, really. I think as artists, we expect so much from ourselves, especially if you're a new student. It's like you've been told once, why don't you get it? Well, There's numerous reasons. This is the light orange or yellowy orange, which is at the tip of this, is just the bit of water coming over the top of the water. It's just causing a little bit of reflection, nothing too eye-catching. That's why I'm taking this up. But just a little bit. So you can see the difference of the wave. I might have to re-go over. It's got a bit light because of the yellow which was on it. There was quite a bit of yellow on that. Okay, and I think I'm going to come up with that little bit of red onto that one. Now, I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to cause the softness of that, the softening edge, by just running the brush along the line. This is the red brush which I'm using, as you can see, and just running it along the line. Being careful not to go into that light area. Oh, sorry. So there's lots of don't do's and do this and whatevers, but try not to put too much paint on at this stage. Use the paint, yes, but don't put too much on if you can help it. Too thick a paint is difficult to control. And we don't want to create extra problems. Okay. There's a line there which I can't seem to get rid of. So is that working? I think it is. I'll check the time in a second. I don't want to overshoot and keep you longer. And I will work on this, like I said, and it'll form a video. Might even be, if it's a big enough shift, I might even do another, next week's stream might be on a further development stage. Who knows? No promises. Oh, what no? So I'm going to just continue across with this red and soften this edge as I did the one on the right. Is that left? There we go. It's probably going to be a line, but it's something I can adjust later. Just want to soften that in a little. Being careful, again, not to go into this light. If I went into the light now, it would be a definite, never mind. One of those moments. Okay, bring this over. Now, I'm going to switch to another brush to do these two areas in a second. I just want to soften this area of dark out so I don't get an edge as such. Good. I've got a yappy dog outside. I hope you can't hear it on the stream. Right. Oh, hello. Now, it's not terribly important to get this super duper smooth because you don't need to. But a little bit is would be nice. It doesn't have to be too much. Okay. Just saw a line as soon as I turned away then. Ah, and another one. Check the sound monitor to see if that dog's been picked up. Maybe. Got a fairly sensitive mic, but I do have a gate on it. Hopefully the gate has taken the dog out. Okay, so now I'm going to just take another 2 brushes. Let's just, not that one though. Let's get into the red again. And just do this. And let's just see if this dark orange. Red again. So I'm using 2 brushes to, oopsie, just create a softened edge. There we go. Right. And moving up the ladder. Ever so softly. Try not to do what I just did there, was drop a lot of light into the dark area. But if you do, look, it's not a big deal, as you can see. Don't get cross. Ouch, let's just take the table out, I think. Yep. Put the dark down because the next time you use it. And the yellow now. So moving up this tonal scale. Being careful not to mess it up. Says a smile in his face. Bit of contaminant on that brush. Never mind. I can go lighter still with that lighter brush. Might even have used it twice for something else. Okay, fresh brush for this. Just literally, gingerly just taking it down. What's the next one? And the next one. Oops. I caught a little bit of the dark and lifted it into the light. Happens. So the red one, supposedly. Yep. And that dark one again just in on there. Okay, so I can play with that in a second. Let's touch the time. 7 o'clock just. Let's go on for a few seconds. So just want to take this away, as in blend it a little bit. That one next. Let's just go down the color ladder. Like I said, doesn't have to be perfect. Pretty sure perfection is an illusion. And I think the red next. We're pretty much done. Oopsie. Yeah, and just that one there is probably not going to be that, it's going to be this one. And then the red. I'm just going to reload that. So, kind of almost there. A lot of the changes are made. At least it's roughly mapped now, and I kind of feel, hopefully you can feel where we're going with this. And just take that red, soften it. Yeah. So pretty much, shame we didn't get a bit further, but never mind. There's another day, as they say. But you can see the technique and why we do this. So always, the big story here is obviously the benefit of using a small photo, I wish, a small painting like this to create changes to a bigger piece or to create a bigger study. This doesn't cost anything. It's at best, at longest 2 hours, a little bit of paint here and there, and £2 or £3 for a board, maybe £4. That's quite about £4 maximum for a board. Here, this canvas probably easily cost, depends where you buy it from, 60, 70 to 160, 70 pounds. Really depends on the quality of the canvas and where you're buying it from. So it makes a lot of sense not to mess it up or to spend a whole week on something like this and then having to change it. So always a good idea to do these little sketches. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed that. Thank you for tuning in. And if you did like the video or you do like what we do here, please do subscribe and like the video if you can. It does help our algorithms with YouTube. And I shall be back next Tuesday at 5 o'clock for another stream. Until then, stay safe, be good, and thank you for watching. All the very best. See you next week. Bye for now.